Welcome to Passionate World Talk Radio. Educate, enlighten, entertain. And this morning, our special guest on Cool Your Heels with Lillian is Athalia Monae, who wrote a book called Why the Secrets. So, good morning, Athalia. How are you today?
Good morning, Lillian. I'm well. How are you doing?
I am doing fine. Is the sun shining where you are?
It is. It's very bright early this morning.
I am
Humid.
glad to hear it because last night the rain that came down was every which way but straight down. And
We
it
didn't
was
get that.
very spectacular. You heard it against the windows.
That's good sleeping weather.
Yeah, that's true too. So, Athelia, please tell everybody what prompted you to write a book about family secrets.
Well, my book, Why the Secrets,
Yeah.
here started out as a short story that I wrote for a short story contest, a short story magazine contest around 11 years ago. Um, and we were given the topic of what the short story should be, which was to be centered around a African American woman with a struggle. And um, I'm thinking like there's so many secrets out there within my family, within other people's families. I know communication is key in any relationship, whether it is parent to child, spouses, friends, co-workers. Communication or a lack of communication has damaged so many relationships because so many people are afraid or unwilling to have uncomfortable conversations. They are not willing or afraid to have certain dialogue about certain topics. So I thought that would be something good to touch on in this book, and in hopes of people going down this journey with the characters in this book and how they handled the situation, and it will probably make a light bulb off in somebody else's head and say, okay, maybe I can handle this situation that I'm dealing with within my own relationship a little bit better. Maybe I can take some things from this family story to communicate with my spouse better, to communicate with my child better, to communicate with my siblings or my parents better.
How destructive are secrets in a family?
Uh, Secrets are very destructive in families. They lead to hurt feelings. They lead to resentment. They lead to misunderstandings. They lead to the destruction of relationships. A lot of relationships had ended because of miscommunication or no communication at all. So it's very destructive in any relationship.
Do you think it's fair for a parent or a relative or even a good friend to withhold information that is important for, say, a teenager or maybe even a child in junior high to be aware of
It's
within the
not right.
family unit?
No, it's not right, but in certain situations, it's understandable because some people just don't know how to communicate certain things. They are afraid of opening up a Pandora's box if they reveal certain information. They might be afraid of how that child will now look at them based on whatever information they give them about that situation. But it's definitely not right. But in some situations, it's understandable. So I think that if we learn how to communicate better and learn how to move around situations so that we are able to open up dialogue about whatever the topic is, whatever the secret is, it strengthens our relationships. It can strengthen our relationship with our child. It can strengthen our relationship with our parents, and not only strengthen those relationships, but we're teaching our loved ones how to communicate better with us, with other people, and it just can only go better from there. Like communicating and opening up that dialogue, it can only strengthen those relationships and make those relationships better and make those individuals involved better.
It almost sounds like every family in the world needs to have an intervention where
We
people are brought in from the different family members or different friends, and everybody gathers around in a circle, look at each other and say, okay, we're going to go and explore our family history. And along the way, we're going to unlock all the boxes where our family secrets have been stored for the last 100 years. And we're going to go through them. What do you think?
I think that would be awesome. It would doing something like that would be therapy that you don't have to pay for.
No therapy here. We can figure it out ourselves.
We can
Thank you
figure it
very much.
out ourselves. Yes, we can work through this ourselves. I think that would be awesome. One of the things I discussed with my children a long time ago, they're both young adults, but one of the things that I discussed with them a long time ago, if it's difficult for you to tell me something, just know and understand that I'm human. Your dad is human. Your teachers are human. Your aunts and uncles are humans. Your grandparents are human. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. So if you feel like there's something that you need to tell me or want to tell me you're afraid of how I will react, just understand that I'm human too. And it might not be as bad as you think it is. Just always know that coming to tell me will be the best thing to do, because what you're keeping to yourself, that can eat you up inside. Not only that, it can probably potentially make trouble for you, and it doesn't have to be that way. And I also told them, if it's difficult for you to come and talk to me, write me a letter. And they like texting, or send me a text message. If that's easier for you to come to me and sit down and talk to me, send me a text message with whatever it is you want to say, or write me a letter, and then we can move forward from there. But don't keep things from me that you know is uh, hurtful or could cause trouble for you or anybody else. We will get through this, you know.
I think that's the most difficult task, is to teach your child how not to lie. Certainly, I told my son, if you tell the truth first time around, you won't have to
Yep.
worry what you said the last time you told that story. And I said, a
Right.
lot of kids get into trouble because you can't remember exactly verbatim, word for word, what you said the last
Hey,
time. So either
exactly.
it gets embellished even more or you leave out an important detail.
Exactly. That was some good advice.
Oh yeah, I try
Real
to.
good.
I told them trust was one of these things you had when you arrived, but if you lost it, you probably would never get it back because that was one of the commodities that was very rare indeed. And for a
Yeah.
person to trust you again, you practically have to put yourself out on the hook as bait and say, "Come and get me," and then
Exactly.
remain steadfast in whatever choice you made. And not everybody is set out to do that.
They're not, and I understand that, because certain situations it's scary, because some people have different temperaments. Some people might be afraid of how that person might react. Some people might be afraid of how that will hurt that person or hurt someone else. So I think a lot of the lack of communication, and I'm not saying all of it, but I think a lot of the situations where there's a lack of communication, it stems from fear of some sort. You know, and some people just don't know how to communicate. Some people just don't know how to do, and that's okay. But once you learn how to communicate, I mean, I'm telling you, it would just feel so good, because it will feel like a weight is lifted off your chest to not keep things, like to hold them in. I mean, even if you have to write them down, journal them, and go and have that conversation with the person later, if you have to like perform whatever it is you want to say to that person to um, open up the lines of communication with that situation. I mean, there's just so many different avenues that you can take to communicate, and some people don't know that, you know, and some people just don't know how what they're keeping from that other person is affecting them. They don't know how it's affecting that person's life negatively. And it's not true. Then when some people say what you don't know can't hurt you, that's not true. Sometimes what you don't know can hurt you. You know,
So, what should a child or even an adult somewhere in their 20s, what are some of the rules that you would include in part of their coming out party, so to speak, to give last minute advice before they step over the threshold into adulthood? What are some of the things that you feel is really important when it comes to Why the Secret?
Be transparent, be open, uh, be honest about whatever it is you're saying, because if you if you're lying, that's just going to make the relationship worse. So just be open and honest about whatever it is that you're saying to that person. Be respectful. I'm a firm believer that you can say almost anything to anybody, but it's all in your delivery. It's all in how you approach the situation. um, be willing to listen to the other person, be receptive to whatever it is they saying, and just be willing to just go in raw and just let it all out. Just put everything out on the table, and like I said earlier, things can only get better from there. Even if you all have to agree to disagree, that other person knows how you feel. They know what boundaries not to cross. They know that whatever it is that you said to them or whatever it is you did to them, it hurt them. And you getting all that out. You communicating with them, whatever it is that secret is, whatever it is you keeping from them. You putting it all out there so that you all can hopefully have a stronger relationship and have an understanding of how what they said or did affected you.
So, Athea, please tell everybody where they can find you on the World Wide Web, where they can find your book on the World Wide Web, and any parting advice you would like to give someone.
You can find me on www.athaliamonae.com. You can find me at Athalia Monae on Instagram as well as Facebook and Twitter. My books are sold at Amazon, uh, Barnes and Nobles, Books to Millions, Target, and all these links are on my website. And for any party words, I would like to say, just don't be afraid to communicate. Don't be afraid. Just understand that not communicating or keeping secrets does more harm than if you would. You have a bigger chance of saving your relationship. You have a chance of uh, rekindling relationships. And no matter what type of relationship that is, if you're willing to communicate and be open and be honest in whatever secrets you're keeping, you're willing to discuss those with the person who you're in that relationship with, within your family, with your child, with a coworker, uh, with a friend. Those relationships can only get better with open communication, with honesty, with transparency.
So, listen to the lady who wrote the book about Why the Secret and why it's important to bare your soul, even if it hurts, because in the beginning it will, but it'll be nothing to the hurt that will come later. So, ladies and gentlemen, and adults of all ages, you can listen to this interview all over again, Cool Your Heels with Lillian with Athalia Monae, on https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. Right hand side menu, scroll down, Cool Your Heels, click on it, and you can hear it. You can also see it on youtube.com/PWR Network, PW Talk Radio. You can also hear it on LinkedIn, on twitter.com/PWR Network. You can also hear the audio on iTunes, iHeart, Spreaker, Amazon Alexa. You can also hear it on AMFM247.com every Tuesday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern, AMFM247.com/Caldwell, CAULDWELL. And before you go away and stray, Jubard had this to say in 1842, we find little in a book but what we put there. but in great books, the mind finds room to put many things. Thank you all very much for listening. And remember, please join us once again. Thank you and have a terrific day.
Thank you for having me, Lillian.
My pleasure.